Mod watches. What are they and why are they so important for the growing watch industry? My name is Chris, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. For most of you who have been in the watch world for any amount of time, the first thing that's going to pop into your head when I say mods is going to be Sieko. Sieko modding actually dates back to the late 90s. I was just as surprised as you are. In 1996, Sieko released the legendary SKX 007. Hobbyists immediately found its attainable price point and reliable 7S26 to be a solid platform for modding. And while modding can arguably be traced back further than that, the timing was just right for Sieko because with it, a new technology was reaching widespread use. That's right, what you're watching this video on right now while you're taking a shit. Probably. The internet. As more people connected and word spread, a new subculture of the watch world was quickly born. By the 2010s, mods were everywhere. DIY watch forums and tutorials were showing up on platforms like YouTube. People even started selling their own mods. Aftermarket parts were becoming readily available. The NH35 movement was becoming easily attainable on the open market. And the house that Sieko built was at the center of all of it. As time moved on, so did the modders. They didn't necessarily get out of the modding game, but most of them used it as a stepping stone for their own businesses. Think of it as a side quest where the main story is starting up your own watch company, or stepping into more high-end luxury watches, Omegas, Rolexes, you name it. Now, I myself love watch mods. From the SKX Casio or the classic 55 Fathoms, watch mods fill the gap between attainable and unattainable for many out there. And that brings me to two watches I have here today. A Seamaster homage. The other, a classic Sieko mod. Both built by one of my favorite watch modders, my dad. Yes, both of these watches were built by none other than my father himself. And in his words, why would I pay for a Seamaster whenever I can just build my own? Well, he has a point. To an extent. Taking a look at the watch, the first thing that sticks out is how close it looks to a Seamaster. At a glance, the watch looks nearly indistinguishable. But when we take a closer look, it becomes easily recognizable that this is in fact not a real Omega. The dial features no identifying markings, other than to denote its automatic movement and untested 100-meter water resistance. The bezel insert fails to align properly with the scallops, however, does have a satisfactory counterclockwise ratchet and solid lockup. And, credit to my father, the alignment at the 12 o'clock is spot on. The hands are a tad plastic shiny for my liking. Actually, most of the polishing seems to have this odd shiny matte effect, but at the price point, I'll allow it. It features a sapphire quote-unquote crystal and a marked presentation back that seems to be the hallmark of these case mods. It houses an NH35A movement, and without a time grapher, I can't speak to its performance. The bracelet, in my opinion, is one of the best parts of this watch. There is absolutely no play, and the Omega clasp feels decent, aside from some slight difficulty with the dive extension. Overall, the watch is a solid one, especially for the $60 investment. Yes, you heard that right. For roughly 1% of the cost of a real Seamaster in this color variation, not that they ever made one with blue hands, it's a banger. In true mod fashion, it really does bridge the gap between attainable and unobtainable, especially when you're looking for something that fills that gap of a Seamaster. The Sieko, this is one of his first builds, and like anyone in a new hobby, this watch taught him a lot. For example, cheap doesn't always mean bang for buck, and the play in the bezel shows it. You can turn this thing almost an entire second before it gets a click. A lot of the same brushing and polishing we saw on the previous watch carry over to this one. Again, housing an NH35A movement. My only complaint, aside from the sloppy bezel, is the wording on the dial. Oyster Perpetual Date Just. God, that piques the tism. Aftermarket manufacturers, stop using Rolex marketing gimmicks on your mod dials. Nobody likes it. Not only may the modder not put this in a Datejust case, but this is definitely not an officially certified chronometer. Dial markings aside, the purple combined with the champagne bezel and diamond markers make the watch actually look really good. Sadly, I can't say the same thing about the Jubilee bracelet that the watch sits upon. There's enough slop in this bracelet that I'm pretty sure I could force it inside out. And the Folex clasp feels subpar. Get it? Subpar. Never mind. The micro adjust grinds like Grand Uncle Bubba's 1911 from the war, and though the lockup does feel solid enough for lightwear, I would not rely on this to stay on my wrist during a bar fight. But for $90, who gives a shit? Build another one if this one gets broke or damaged on repair. For that price, I don't blame him. These are decent watches for the money. Now, I know, I harped on the tiny details here, and at the end of the day, it's a $60 and a $90 watch. But wait, there's more. I present to you Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and Exhibit C. And while I don't have any of these specific watches in hand, I checked in detail the markings, the dial, the bracelets, and I would put money that a lot of the mods that I found just from a quick Google search share the exact same manufacturer in China as the ones that my dad built for a fraction of the price of the watch that they're moving to homage. Wow, that's kind of like price inception. Anyway, for $200 to $500 in some cases, yes, I'm looking at you. I would expect quality, and that is just not happening here. It's going to be a big no for me. Now, I got a comment on my last video. Why would I buy the So Commander whenever I can just buy a watch mod? And the answer to that comment is this video. Sometimes you're going to get quality in these mods. Again, there are good manufacturers out there, SKX being one that I actually like a lot. And don't be mistaken, there are solid Chinese manufactured watches out there. Siegel, San Martin, Pagani, they all have a fairly solid track record when it comes to value for money watches. But don't be fooled into thinking that you're going to get luxury quality at bargain bin prices. If it's too good to be true, most of the time it is. In my opinion, if you want a mod and your expectations are realistic, give it a shot. Go to Alibaba or AliExpress or whatever Chinese pipeline you want to pick and pick up some parts. Build the watch you want to wear. You may even have fun and find a new hobby in it. However, if you don't want to go that route, I would highly recommend being wary when you're picking up a mod off of a site that nobody's heard of. At the end of the day, it's your money, and I'm just a guy talking to a camera on the internet. Whatever you want to spend your money on, go for it. I'm not going to personally tell you what you should and shouldn't buy. I'm just going to give you my opinion whenever it comes to watch-related content. And my opinion on mods is 9 times out of 10, building it is better than buying it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay sketchy.